it's time for me to introduce our speaker. Lucas Homdus is the principal of Discovery Challenge Academy. You've heard me talk about my experience in being at their graduation ceremonies, and it's emotional. It's literally an emotional experience to see these kids and to see them just and what they've been through in the previous 3 months or so. So we're going to have Lucas come up, introduce his team, and then share a little bit about the academy. Lucas, welcome.
So my name is Lucas Homdus. I am the principal over at Discovery Challenge Academy. I'm joined by Liz Gonzales, as our administrative assistant out here.
Welcome.
And then this is also Cadet Gonzales as well. Okay, so
Oh, I didn't do what I was supposed to do.
Well, you got a drink.
I wouldn't go click it. It's still on the last slide.
Where am I? He's like, okay.
You're on vacation.
Only you knew how to work computers, huh?
It's a hell of a time to check your email.
Let me get back to that.
Sure that's only iced tea, is it?
This is the part that's frustrating, is I gotta
Ooh.
bounce around a little bit, but.
Okay, so let me. There it is. Okay, so Discovery Challenge Academy. So we are located out in Lathrop. The intention of Discovery Challenge Academy actually is, I'll give you a little bit of the history on it, but we serve students who are 16 to 18 years old. The intention really is to have an environment that is high structure, high discipline, and really instills self-confidence in the young folks that we serve. So the Youth Challenge programs were established by Congress in 1993. So that came as a direct result of the high dropout rates. And so they said something has to be done. So this was the solution, or this was one of the solutions, was the establishment of the Youth Challenge programs. There are now 46 across the country. There are actually 3 of them in California. So there's ours, there's one in San Luis Obispo, and then there's also one in Los Alamitos. We are a very unique partnership with the California National Guard and the San Joaquin County Office of Education. So we work together in order to do this. Like I said, 16 to 18 years old. The population that we try to serve are students who are identified as being at risk of not graduating high school on time. So there could be a number of different things. Usually it's going to be because students are off track because they're credit deficient. But students can be on track credit-wise, but maybe have some attendance challenges. Maybe there are behavioral things going on. There may be other things that are going on that are outside of the school. So students can apply at any time throughout the course of the year. We do have 2 different classes, one that starts in July and then one that starts in January. It is a 22-week program, so 5.5 months. And during that time, students are able to earn up to 65 credits. And for a comprehensive high school, that is about a year's worth of credits, but it's done in 1 semester. So the intention of that and the rationale behind earning that many credits during that period of time is that the students just don't stop learning. Everything that they do is education. So those 5.5 months, this is a residential program. So students, when they sign up and they volunteer to be in the program, they come over to that Sharp Army Depot, and they live on campus in the barracks for 5.5 months. And they go from sunup to sundown or beyond a little bit, or sometimes a little shorter depending on the time of the year. And they are doing things right from the beginning of the day, and then they don't stop. The focus of it really is that academic core as far as SJCOE is concerned for the programming, and that's what it is that we do. The National Guard does all of the other residential and then the programming that goes in addition to that. There's an emphasis on life skills, and then also there's some social emotional learning. our students come from a lot of different backgrounds, and so some of the skills that are needed in order to be able to be successful in a comprehensive school, they may have kind of missed on some of those things. So we do a lot of intentional teaching of these different things. These are the 8 core components. They were identified in those challenge programs as these are the important things that young people need to be able to have and do in order to be successful in life and in general. So we look up at some of those things and we can think some of them, oh, they might be common sense, but we know that common sense isn't really common. So you have to explicitly teach all of these different things. Something as simple as like health and hygiene for some of the students who come in, that can be, some of the way that it is approached can be a new concept for folks. One of those pieces is what they call time hacks. The time hacks are essentially those time limits that they have. And when you think about like, if you were in the military previously, or if you did like a summer camp or something like that, you have a limited time for shower, for hygiene, you have all those different things. How long do you think that you have for a shower?
2 hours.
2 hours is very close, but it's closer to 5 minutes. So it's 5 minutes on the dot, right? Everything is done with time and schedule, and that all contributes to that discipline and that structure. And so for a lot of our students, they're coming from different backgrounds, and so this is an opportunity to either, for some it's a reset, because maybe they were kind of on track before and then something kind of got them off track, and now this is kind of a time for a hard reset. For others, maybe they haven't ever been introduced to this kind of structure. Maybe some of them haven't ever been introduced to some of these skills. And so for some, it's a brand new learning experience for them, and then this is the opportunity to be immersed in it for that long. You know, it's a half a year that they're immersed in this program, and then they're able to emerge from it and be able to make the choice of, do I stay on this track that I'm on, or do I return back to whatever it was that I was doing? And the intention is when students are done, that they are able to be able to make that choice to go on to whatever's next. If you're familiar with Maslow's hierarchy of needs, this is Maslow's hierarchy of needs at DCA. We know that in order to be able to kind of function and be able to be reflective and to be able to come up with those big ideas, the basic needs need to be met. Because you're in a residential program, 3 meals a day, snacks, safe place to live and sleep. You're moving in your platoon, so everything is in platoons. The classrooms are cohorted, so you're always moving with a group, so there's that sense of belonging, that sense of camaraderie that's built. And so they're really ending up kind of functioning in this as that normal build-in, and then it really allows them to be able to get these other places where they are focusing on themselves, where they're having that time for reflection, where they're able to think about those big ideas and about things that are what's next. Because we'll find that with some of our students, they will experience, they're always in a crisis state, because things can be so unpredictable in home situations. So being able to go to a place where they have that kind of consistency allows them to get out of that fight or flight mode and really be able to be in a place where they can function and be able to think about those big picture items. This is what our classrooms look like. We have smaller class sizes, 15 to 25 students. It is not an option for you to do schoolwork. When you're here, that is one of the, you're a captive audience. There's no way you can't go home and be distracted by something else because you live there. So we have our school class schedule. It goes from 8:30 in the morning until 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Immediately following that, they have a snack. Maybe they'll do a little bit of PT, but then there's an hour of study hall immediately afterwards. So things are really structured so that school is at the center of it. And then there are additional learnings that they do after that. PT happens all the time when they wake up and in between things, and when they're at break and when they're at lunch and whatever other things, right? So you'll find a lot of our students come in and they they get a really big boost in confidence because they're feeling better. They're eating cleaner, they are exercising and moving more, and now all of a sudden their brains are functioning in a different way as well. So it's just an all-around feel-good thing. If you take a look on the far right, this is actually one of the things that I think is It's been cited by students themselves as one of the most impactful things is no cell phones and no social media, no screens. So, you know, and I don't know how many of you are really on your phones quite a bit. I know for myself and for people in my circle, there's a lot of phone use just because it's the immediacy of if you have a question, then you can get an answer right away. And that's kind of the world that the young folks live in, is that they're used to instant gratification for everything. So this separation from that really allows that slow down piece, makes them be a little bit more intentional and thoughtful. And so that's been a big thing there as well. California Job Challenge is a program that is only available to people who complete any of the Challenge Academies. So any of those 3 academies that I said in the state of California, if you finish one of those programs, then you are allowed to be able to attend here. And this is just this is the same kind of program, it's the same structure and the makeup, but this one is more at something that's certificated. So when students finish up with us, the intention isn't necessarily for them to graduate high school with us, because some of them come to us as 10th graders and 11th graders, so it's not time for them to graduate. The intention is for them to be able to catch up on credits, be able to go back to their districts, be able to be successful at their schools, and then potentially graduate from high school. We do have some students who do come to us and they're credit deficient, but they're 12th graders, and they're able to catch up, and then they are able to graduate with us because we are a WASC accredited school, and we do issue diplomas for students who are graduating with our high school diploma. But for those students, after they finish their high school diploma, they're able to apply for this program as well, and they are able to do any of these different pathways. It is located in Los Alamitos, so they do relocate back down there, and then that'll be where they live. And then they are in partnership with Long Beach Community College. And if any of you are familiar with that facility, it's actually a really nice facility. I went down there to go visit. I was very impressed with their programs, especially their construction and their automotive tech. They have really, really nice facilities and good links into those industries.
Is there any chance to develop a program like that around here in partnership with Delta, or would it take a lot of funding?
Yeah, it would take a lot of funding. The part of the reason why they're able to do that is because they have an active Army base down there, and so they're able to be on facility. So they have significantly more housing, and they're able to, they have a higher capacity. I love the idea though.
Yeah.
I would love to be able to do something like that. This is what their schedule looks like. So when I say it's the beginning of the day, if you remember that we have school until 3 o'clock, and then we have study hall after snack, all 4:30 sneaks up on you really quickly, and you got to work in dinner time, and then you got to work in PT, and then you've got to work in all your hygiene. So the days can go by simultaneously, very quickly, and very slowly, depending on how you're feeling that day. Co-ed but separated, so we do have male and female students, participants, and they are in the barracks. They're in different bays. Same thing with the classes as well. Classrooms, it's the Warriors platoon. All the Warriors, they stay in the same class, and then the male platoons, they are in different classes. This is actually what the bay looks like. So, I mean, you can kind of see, this is just on a random day. Things are just so, students have wall lockers. Those bags up top, that's their laundry. They do their own laundry. Hospital corners, you see the shoes down there underneath. This is the gym and the library. The gym's actually pretty nice. And then the library, that's actually a mural that students do with We Heart Art Academy as well. One of the interesting byproducts, I think, of this program that we find is our students tend to read quite a bit because that's their form of entertainment. So we'll find students, a lot of the times we'll find comments from families back home who are saying they could tell the difference in their students' verbal abilities within the first few weeks because they're reading so much, they're writing so much, and then for some, like I said, they're just kind of in a different, their brains are operating a little bit differently. You can't be on all the time. So there are clubs as well. So these are some of the special teams of the clubs that the National Guard does. They have a boxing club, they have a Raiders club, they have a run club. The Raiders club actually goes and does different competitions. They'll do like Spartan races and things like that. And then the academic side does clubs as well. We have a game club, we have an art club, we'll have a nature club, we have a yearbook club. And so we try to give different opportunities and looks for students to be able to do things that are outside of school as well. This is what they do during acclimation. So there is a challenge course out at Venture Academy, and then they are tasked with a lot of different things, team building things and challenge things. This right here is kind of a nerve-wracking thing. This one right here is, I mean, you've got the telephone poles that are up here. I don't know how high that is. It's really high. And as you could imagine, when you get up there, it looks high anyway, but once you're up there, then it's doing like this. And so when you're a little bit shaky and nervous and you go to get up there, then you can see that the pole's just going like this, and they're able to jump out there. So that's one. And I try to make it a point to do some kind of element of the challenge course every year, but the older I get, the less I want to. The library here, like I said, will find students do a lot of reading. So they get to go to the library on Tuesdays and Fridays. They'll check out a couple of books, and so it's just kind of an easy way for them to be able to cycle through. These are students who were just over at Ag Venture last week. Ag Venture, if you guys are familiar with it at all, there's almost 3,000 third graders from the county who go out to different locations, and they'll learn, they'll do some educational activities surrounding agriculture. So our students were able to go out as volunteers, and they were able to teach them about a couple of the different foods. And then this is them over at Academy of Sciences. So some of the students were able to go out to San Francisco to the Academy of Sciences just to be able to do an off-campus piece. Then obviously this is the goal, right? So this is, you mentioned graduation previously, and I definitely could have included some pictures where people are crying, because there's a lot of that afterwards. It is a very emotional piece when you're talking about students committing to be away from their family for 5.5 months, and on the flip side too, families committing to be away from their students for 5.5 months. It can be a really challenging thing. There are forms of communication. They get 1 phone call per week after acclimation. It's a very limited time for that 1 phone call per week, but they can write as many letters as they want back and forth. So once again, we're kind of moving away from that phone and that instant gratification, and then the letter writing kind of becomes a little bit of a different thing. And then these were some of our graduates. Some of them, anybody with a cap and a gown, they graduated with their high school diploma. Anybody who is wearing their cadet dress uniforms, then they are actually completing the program, but they haven't earned their high school diploma. They went back to district in order to be able to finish it.
And scholarship presentation.
And scholarship presentation, if you look on the far right. Okay, that's my information. So at this point then, I think what we'll do is I'll invite Cadet Gonzales to come up, and you can share whatever you'd like. Okay.
So is the NG capitalized because of National Guard?
Yes, sir.
Ah, okay.
Yep.
I noticed that.
You can stand wherever you'd like, you can share whatever you'd like. It's up to you.
Alright, so like before, my name is Jared Gonzales, and I'm a cadet at DCA. I'm a senior currently, and so in June, I will be graduating from DCA, and I'll be graduating as a senior and earning my high school diploma. So far, my journey here has been a little all over the place, but I guess that was to be expected with the whole military style of things. But I'm getting along just fine. And so far, there's been some great things that I've learned, not just about myself, but in life as well. And I hope to teach you all about them. First, I would like to share with you guys my history and what brought me to the doorstep of Discovery Challenge Academy. And it all started last year in the month of February. It was a normal school day, and I was hanging out with my friends. Suddenly, one of my friends pulls out a vape, and in my infinite wisdom, I say, "Yo, let me hit that real quick." From then, my dear friend told me about weed pens, and we should do it tomorrow since you've never done it. And that one mistake led to the next. And a month goes by, and since the first day in February, there wasn't a day where I wasn't on something. It was a terrible habit, and unfortunately, I just so happened to always somehow have something on me. it was so sickeningly easy to get my hands on it, and it was like this every day up until at least the end of November. But towards the end of that year, I started drinking, and I got into my grandma's wine, and I was so desperate that that night I drank 3 full bottles of wine. I was a mess, and the following day I paid for it. My mom looked at me with disgust, and my dad just got off work to come to her house and deal with me. Deservingly, I was yelled at. I felt awful, like a loser with nothing going for him. Then, for the second time, they threatened to kick me out, and almost did. Probably would have if it wasn't for me already going to the DCA. They told me to just lay low and stop messing around, because I was so close to just leaving, stop causing trouble. And that I did, and here I am. Changed and reformed. Slept. I'm getting there, but I have the power now to reflect and grow on mistakes. Which brings me to my first lesson from the academy. And that is, it's not game over until you put the controller down. Or just give up. I like to look at the obstacles life throws at me like bosses in a video game. The more you go through life or a game, the harder it gets. And there will be challenges that come with it as well. If you see or have an unavoidable obstacle and decide to challenge it, you must remember it isn't over until you quit. Until you say, okay, life, this is too hard, I can't do this, I quit. And it's game over and you lose. Which brings me to my next point. Keep trying, even past failure, because we humans learn and grow from failure. When you think you are on your last leg, or at your wit's end, and are about to give up, don't. Because when you decide to push past the pain, you will smile once you cross the finish line. And only then you can look back and laugh, because you are a determined winner. Always remember there is sunshine after the storm. There will always be tomorrow, and this pain and hardship is only temporary. This next lesson is a phrase one of my cadre always say, and it's just stuck in my head, and that is, if the shoe doesn't fit, don't wear it. Now, in a DCA setting, this pretty much means I wasn't talking about you, or if you're not the problem, it's probably best to keep your mouth shut. But in a real life kind of scenario, I like to believe it means if a problem isn't yours to deal with, don't try and help. You'll only make it worse, or just mind your own business. Sometimes people like to butt in on others' lives and play the hero card. It's good to have each other's backs, don't get me wrong, but sometimes it's best you worry about your own problems in your own life, because everyone's storms are just lessons to learn from. Don't live this life alone, but don't rely on others all the time. Finally, tying in my final important lesson, it might just be the most important one, and also said by a cadre all the time, and that is simply womp womp, get over it. As simple as it may sound, it kind of reminds me of something my dad always used to say, which was, the world isn't going to stop for you, and it certainly won't care about your feelings. In life, simply getting over it may it be an annoying moron from work, or a bully at school, or you're simply having an awful day. The best thing you can do is just get over it. There's always tomorrow, and the pain will eventually end, as all bad days will. To end this off, I would like to share with you my personal opinion and experiences of DCA. Start off, first night, I was not used to sleeping at 7 p.m. It was honestly a shock when I was up for 5 hours just laying there, as well as waking up to blinding lights without warning and an intimidating tow the line from the platoon sergeant. It was only like that for the first night, but waking up before the sun comes up never changed. But I get used to it, as well as the physical education. Though the yelling never got to me, I will say. The hardest thing for me so far has been marching drill and ceremony in the 42 commands. The first week was extremely awkward and difficult, trying to keep up with the amount of information being thrown at us, namely how to be a cadet, military rank structure, and 42 commands. In the beginning days, I thought having to memorize 42 drill commands, stationary and while marching was impossible and simply unachievable. But now I stand today as a member of the DCA Color Guard Squad. Things have lightened up since the acclimation phase, and every little thing I learned from cadre leadership, I take it and apply it to my day-to-day struggles. Schooling is possibly the most helpful and dedicated schooling programs I've ever attended. Staff and teachers are wonderful people that, unlike other teachers in other districts, actually care about my education and success. All of this being said, my final opinion of Discovery Challenge Academy is that it is a wonderful place for young kids at the end of their road in need of enlightenment and positive role models and leadership. DCA is truly a place to pick up the pieces in your life. I now wish to take the ASVAB sometime at DCA and fulfill my dream of joining the Navy, becoming an aviation electronics technician, come out and work as an aeronautical engineer. I appreciate your time in hearing my story and sharing my wisdom. Once again, I'm Jerry Gonzales.
So we'll leave Cadet Gonzales up here for a second, and if you guys have, do you have any questions or anything that any comments or anything, either for myself or for him? You're more than welcome to ask.
Were you at a regular high school before this program?
Yes.
And then you had to transition there, so, so will your degree be from that high school, or you'll be one of the degree holders from the Discovery Challenge?
I will be a degree holder from Discovery Challenge.
Wow, that's fantastic.
It was a really long process, and they kind of didn't want to let me go.
Yeah, gotcha.
So what areas do your school draw from? Let's hear.
Oh, that's a great question, actually. So I actually sped past that part on the map. We actually serve everything from Mariposa north. So we have 38 counties that we serve. And so geographically, huge area. So we do have folks who come in from, like North Coast. And so we're talking about people who will go for 5 hours. Over half of our students come from either San Joaquin or Stanislaus. I mean, we're over half of our students come from immediately nearby, but there are some really weird pockets. Like, anybody know where Tehama is?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So like some of the really northern California, the Redding and that kind of area, we'll get weird pockets of like 6 or 7 students, and we'll get referrals from a group, and then they'll end up coming in. So yeah, it's all over Northern California.
What's your total student population?
We're currently at 86, and so our numbers will fluctuate between, we're at about the bottom of where we're at now, and then we may go up to as high as about 140, 150.
Wow.
Yeah.
Can you talk about the interaction with your parents in this process?
I mean, at the very end, they were kind of sad to let me go, but for the other 17 years of my life, they kind of just, I mean, I was a troublemaking kid, so like, they were always just annoyed with me, I guess, and I kind of like let them down a lot throughout my life, and I never had the greatest grades. In fact, I was failing through most of my high school, and I kind of wasn't gonna make it until DCA kind of helped me out. Yeah, so
We just got progress reports. What do you have on your progress reports?
I had a 3.85.
That one screen you had the 8 points on,
Mhm.
I think public schools could do a lot.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
100%. Yeah, there are those things that are, and I think that's really, really important, those the explicit teaching of those different things. The life skills have got to be just as important as anything else. And that's part of what I was kind of saying in terms of what those 65 credits are, and with those students. They're learning all of their core academics with us in the classrooms. We've got our math, our science, our social studies, but all those things that they're learning outside of there, and then also in conjunction with the National Guard. So they have real life application, and they don't stop. And you're kind of hearing these things our students grab onto. You never know what students are going to grab onto when somebody's saying something that it makes sense to them and can kind of become their mantra, and it serves them. And we'll find alumni, and they've come back and they've kind of said, oh yeah, I had this cadre and they said this with me, and it just kind of sticks with them. Yeah, I agree with that as well.
Well, Lucas, thank you so much.
Thank you.
How did you go from being in trouble and find out about DCA? How did you get connected?
So I had a meeting with my counselor and my parents, and all of a sudden she shoots the idea of me going to DCA, and neither of my parents knew what it was, and so they asked, and they were like, oh, it's like this military academy, and everyone who comes out, they're like really like, they're changed, like they're new people, and they have great outlook on life, and they were like intrigued by it. I was like, that sounds pretty cool, so I might as well join.
Well, thank you again.
Thank you all.
Both of you. So I will say again, we will get, you know, we'll do as we've done for the last several years. We'll continue to support DCA. So we'll have scholarships for their May graduation. Frosty?
Several years ago, I went to their graduation and presented scholarships to two of the individuals, and it was as important to me as it was for them. It's a life-changing thing for them, but it's something I'll never forget.
I am with you 100%. I'm sure Jim can say the same thing. Anybody else who's been there. So I want to encourage, maybe this May, get a group, you know, of some of you who have not been yet, because I'm serious. And what Frosty said really rings true. It's not just what it does for them, but when it gives you hope. I mean, you see everything that's going on in the world today, and it's easy to see kids in a bad light, you know, because of just kind of the environment and the culture and everything that we're in. And then to see these kids come out and to see them all so just enthusiastic and so well behaved and so headed in the right direction, it really is an emotional experience. So we'll give you the opportunity to participate with them. We want to continue that partnership and do what we can to support you. So thanks again. Appreciate you being here today. All right, guys. Well, I will see you in 2 weeks. It's all on Andy next week, so show up and support him, right? And then I'll report back from the Caribbean when I get back.